Thanks for watching SWX, and this is a special edition called the Sports Council. It's a new segment we're doing, hosted by me, Jamie Council, Sports Director here, and today we're going to be talking to Casey Gant, Athletic Director over at Kamiakin. A lot of changes going on in the high school world. So, Casey, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
First, I want you to start off. Just tell me a little bit about how you got to be the Athletic Director over at Kamiakin.
Well, I started out my teaching career in Mapton. I taught and coached football and basketball and baseball there, and then moved into the assistant principal athletic director role my last 3 years there. Took the athletic director's position at Prosser High School, and I was there at Prosser for 11 years. And then the opportunity came about that I was able to come to Kamiakin, and this is my 9th year at Kamiakin. And in all the years of doing this, I've never seen anything like what we're dealing with right now.
Probably didn't have to get a new wardrobe, can still wear red and white.
Yeah, the red just kept coming. It was nice. You know, Mapton was purple and gold, and then I had to go and change. Went to the Prosser red and came to Kamiakin, and it just kind of it works. My closet is pretty one-dimensional.
I was gonna wear red and black today. I'll tell you about that later. Like you said, this is something that people have never been seeing with what's been going on in the sports. And I mean, I've been following this, and I took over this job in May, and it's just been tough that I'm over 6 months into the job and I haven't covered a game yet. So that's crazy for everybody. And so right now, big news, another change in the calendar. I guess we say big news, but the calendar's changed so much, so it's just another week in the sports world. So with this new change, they moved football and fall sports up. Were you surprised when you saw that come out?
No, actually, the WIA gave us the ability probably a few months ago to make any adjustments that we felt were necessary with regards to our conference. And so the MCC has been talking quite a bit about, hey, it's going to be really tough for us to start high-risk indoor sports starting in February, those being basketball, wrestling. So we might want to really think about maybe flipping that and starting with fall. And so we had already kind of taken a straw poll, made a decision that that's where we were leaning, was that we were going to start with fall. And then we did that on Tuesday, and then the WIA comes out later that night with basically what we had already discussed and already decided. So our minds are starting to think a little bit alike with regards to what is going to be available, what we can and can't do realistically. And then the governor's plan came out, and now we have some more guidance.
Can you explain to me why that change happened, why it was a good idea, or why the WIAA took the measures that they did?
So I can't speak to why the WIAA did it. I can talk to you about why the Mid-Columbia Conference thought about it. And our process of thinking was, the restrictions are nothing indoors, and sure as heck, we're not going to be able to do any high-risk sports, which would be our basketball and our wrestling programs. And so we thought, well, if we are going to be able to start February 1 or anytime in February, we're probably going to need to start outdoors, which is what they've really kind of allowed us to do as far as our workouts are concerned. And so it made sense to us to try to push and start with the fall outdoors. We really didn't want to start with spring outdoors because those kids lost their season last year, and we really don't want to have them start in February with the possibilities of rain out and snow out and all those things and lose more contests. So it made sense to start with our fall sports outdoors. The one that we will have to work with them on will be volleyball, which is currently listed as a moderate risk sport, and that would be the only indoor sport we have. We have already made the decision that we're probably going to move swim and dive to as far back as we can to utilize the pools and the outdoor facilities that we have. There'd just be no way to get those programs in with an outdoor pool in February. That's just ridiculous to expect kids to be out there for that. So we kind of made those decisions, and that was our thought process. We're trying to do everything we can to provide opportunities for kids. And the last thing we want to do is start doubling programs that don't need to be doubled up. And we definitely don't want to have to cancel anything. We felt if we stayed with the traditional winter sports starting February 1, the chance of having to cancel those was going to be pretty high. We didn't want to do that to kids.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the calendar before this one stayed in place, even if the regions are in phase 2, basketball and wrestling would be off the table. So that's basically my understanding of the basis of this change.
Yeah. They would have not been able to participate with the restrictions that are in place now. Now, if we can get them to reclassify wrestling and basketball as moderate risk sports, then we have a good shot at getting those in with this timeline, I guess, that the WIAA had previous to Tuesday's decision.
If we are in phase one now, what does that mean? Because that means as if once that comes out, the WIAA originally said we're going to make this decision a month before. We're within a month. So it seems like they might have to make these decisions or wait for regions to phase up, so to speak, right before season starts. So it might just be the night before, yes or no, you can't play.
I'm hoping that we get a little more prep and information before the night before. But the way I've read it, and again, it was laid out on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we've spent the last 3 days trying to decipher what it actually means and how it applies to what we do. And we have people within our own conference that can't agree to how it reads. And really, it's fairly vague in what we're looking at, and we want some specifics. In phase one, can you do this? In phase one, can you do this? The way we look at it, we can't do any competitions until we get to phase two. So we're hoping that we get some clarification on what can we do in phase one. Can we start to have practices 11 on 11 in all those sports other than the high risk outdoor, which would be football? Can you have full 11 on 11 practices, or should we not? Are we staying in pods, and what's that look like? So we're kind of looking for some clarification, and we're at the point now where it would be great if something came out black and white. Here's what you can and can't do. Phase one, yes, this sport can do this sport can do this. And I think I'm hoping the WI is working on something like that, because like I said, I think if you're talking to me, if you're talking to Mike Edwards, if you're talking to Anna Harris, if you're talking to anybody, you're going to get a different answer right now as to what that looks like. And we're all trying to come together to say, okay, what is it that we believe this says?
Yesterday I was doing a little bit of research and hopped on there using the metric cases per 100,000 people. I remember tracking those back in the fall, and they said football can play under 25 cases per 100,000. And I remember going on, Yakima was doing great. They were at 98. Tri-Cities area, I was just like, oh my gosh, we're above 300. Yesterday I hopped on, Yakima is over 900. That's insane. So how does that play? And if they wouldn't let kids play in the fall with those numbers, these numbers are 3 times as worse. And I hate to, be sounding negative, but I mean, how do you even unwrap that one?
Well, that's exactly the question and the conversation I was having with a colleague this morning. It's like, okay, back in September, when our number was 70, it was unhealthy to play, and now that our number is 900, we're saying if you reduce by 10%, okay, so that's now you're about 800, you're okay to play. But what was the difference? And those are things we're struggling with, and obviously those decisions were made way above my pay grade, and at the governor's office and the Department of Health, and they all have wonderful reasons as to why they're making the decisions they're making, and we just have to kind of do the best we can. But there's a lot of question in why now. I mean, I do like the fact that one of the criteria is to decrease by 10%. To me, that makes sense. I'm absolutely fine with that. That makes a lot of sense. It shows that we're trending down, and that's really what we want to do. But there are some of the aspects in that 4 criteria that, as I look at it, and maybe I'm not the smartest guy around, but I really don't know how we're going to get to that marker to be able to move to phase 2. And those are my questions. And like I said, we're trying to ask the right people the questions. Let's try to get some answers. And I think there's a lot of ambiguity as to what's going on and where those are at, and how to really decipher what it is we can do and where we're headed.
Metaphor you used in one of our prior conversations that really, I guess, stuck with me. This is when all the smoke was happening, and you said that's what it feels like to be an athletic director. You can only see 10 feet in front of you. So can you talk a little bit about what it's like being an athletic director during this time? People are looking for you for answers that you don't have.
Well, that's really our frustration, is because in this role that we have as athletic directors, we are the go-to people as far as, questions that parents and kids and coaches and everybody has with regards to their athletics and activities. And And right now we're getting asked those questions and we don't know the answers because this is nothing like anything we've ever done before. Like I said, I've been an AD for 21 years and never had to deal with anything like this. If you ask me, what are we going to do on a snow out? We have issues. What are we going to do when you get a rain out? We have a plan, but it's very difficult to make a plan in a situation where you have no idea how it's going to unfold and you're not in charge of making the decisions. And that's really been our frustration. We met as a conference recently in the last few days and said, okay, let's start putting stuff together. And it's difficult because we've put stuff together. We put it together in May. We put it together again in August. We put it together in October. We did it again in November. And we're getting frustrated with putting something together and having it not work out. But everybody's in the agreement that we have to have a plan. If we start February 1, this is what it looks like. If that date doesn't work, let's go to February 8th. Now put a plan together for what that looks like. And so we have plans for February 1, February 8, February 15, February 22. Here's what they'll look like. Here's how everything will unfold. Here's what the overlap will look like. So we're starting to have those conversations and put stuff together. But, I'm talking to coaches constantly. I sent some stuff out to our coaches. Hey, let me know if you have questions, comments. And they're kind of in the same boat. They're saying, okay, what do I need to plan for? Should I plan for a February 1 start? Should I get my guys and gals ready to go? Should I hold? Are we going late? What? We don't have any answers, and I don't know if we're going to have any answers in a week. And that's really the frustration. Someone walked in my office the other day, said, "Hey, Governor put this out. It sounds awesome. We got a light at the end of the tunnel." I said, "Watch out and be careful because I'm not sure that's the light you're looking for. I'm not sure if that's the opening to where everything is going to now unfold, or if that's another train coming at us. So we're going to have to dodge it." So I'm being real cautious in what we're doing, but we're moving forward. We're trying to get kids on campus as best we can to get them working out in their pods and doing some stuff like that, just to get them moving, get some body movement going with kids and start to get them in shape a little bit. We're worried that because we haven't been in the weight room for a long time, the risk of injury of our athletes is going to be higher this year. I think we saw that at the collegiate level. You saw it at the pro level. The lack of training in the last 9 months is going to wear on kids, and we're worried about, the physicality of what's going on.
Yeah, I think those are a lot of things that are on a lot of people's mind after when can they actually have the chance to find that out. And a little bit about the process. You talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. Somebody yesterday told me that it's really hard because it's like a carrot at the end of the stick, and it's really hard to be like, oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. Oh, this is it. At what point do you just be like, just tell me yes or no? So can you just tell me a little bit about the process? Because you as the athletic director, you're not tied to the WIAA. You're just tied to the MCC. So if I were to ask, oh, if you're not in phase 1, are you just going to delay fall sports? Are you going to cancel fall sports? You don't know, but you're probably making 5 different plans, hoping that one of those is the one that the WIAA releases.
Right. So yes, we're tied to the WIA, but we can adjust off of what the WIA says. We're tied to the Mid-Columbia Conference, but we're tied to the Department of Health. That's really who we're tied to. And they are going to be the ones that are going to communicate with our superintendents and our school districts and our school boards as to determine when we can open stuff up. So like I said, we have plans that we can start anytime in the next 4 weeks with that February 1, February 8, February 20, and start from there and unfold stuff. But we need a green light from our Department of Health that says, hey, you guys are good to go. And we believe that we can manage our numbers and our kids. And we're not dealing with 2,000 kids in a building. We're dealing with 250 kids in a spring or a fall season. Those are numbers we feel like we can manage. We'd like to have the opportunity to try. But again, those decisions are made above us. So all we can do is have contingent plans that fall like, if you can't go here, what's the next step? What's the next step? And we have 4 in place currently. If we are pushed outside of February, now our hands are going to be really tied. And now we're going to probably have to look and say, okay, does it make more sense to double some stuff up and go 2 seasons and overlap some kids? Or does it make sense to say, okay, this season is done. We're going to try these next 2 seasons, see if we can get them in. We're not there yet. Like I said, we want to do everything we can within our power to provide all kids an opportunity to play every one of the sports that they like and they grew up loving and playing and stuff. If we start making kids choose between, football or basketball or baseball or any of those, then I think that what we're going to do in the long run is we're going to create more single sport athletes, and those kids are not going to be the multi-sport athletes they are now. And I think the long-term effect on that's going to be, it's going to be tough for our programs to stay as healthy as they've been.
Yeah, I mean, I was a 3-sport athlete, and I had to choose between track and softball. That was overlapping for me, so I know that was even hard for me. So I put myself in these kids' situations, and I honestly can't tell you how I would be handling this situation. And so do you think, just knowing what you know, and maybe you don't know, because I feel like we're all in the dark, but if we can't go February 1, do you think that the C word's going to come out, cancel? Or do you think that they're going to shorten seasons? Or what is your feeling on the way that this is going to be handled?
Well, and that goes back to the WIAA allowing us to do what we want and set a proposal with the state for approval to adjust. If February 1 does not work, we're going to push it back a week and try to go February 8. We will do everything we can before we have to cancel anything. That is the last thing on our list. We will double sports up, in my opinion. I would prefer, I guess, to double sports up before I tell a kid you can't. I think we have some kids that are multi-sport that maybe their passion is soccer. So rather than say, hey, listen, I'd rather you not go soccer and football back to back, I would rather prefer to offer that kid an opportunity to play that one sport that he really is passionate about, or she. So those are, I think, things that we've talked about. Nobody's really made that determination. That's one of those things that it's kind of like you just don't even want to bring that subject up because you don't want to, all of a sudden that conversation starts taking place and then it becomes realistic. And we don't want that to happen. We want to find every opportunity and every way to combine sports and combine season. Maybe you got a 1 week overlap, but kids can still play and provide opportunities. That's the key. These kids are hurting out there right now. They need to get back with their friends, with their buddies, do it in a safe way. But they need programs. They need education-based athletics, and we want to provide that opportunity for them.
Then for you, I don't want to keep talking about negative stuff. Is there anything positive that you've either learned or just something positive that's come out of this for you?
I will say that the relationships that we have built within the athletic directors of the Mid-Columbia Conference, having to come together, we meet a lot. We talk a lot. I'm in a lot of conversation. I think I'm seeing some of those guys and gals and stuff more than I see our coaches anymore. So we've built some really strong relationships. We've done some good stuff. We've had some really good, tough conversations about kind of what we're doing and where we're going and how we can move forward and sharing of ideas. And the state has a thing where we meet every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. With 200 athletic directors from across the state. I think that has brought the state a little closer. Conversations are better and deeper with people. And I think we've grown in the profession in that manner. Like I said, I think everybody in the past has been really siloed and this is what we do and this is how we do it. Nobody knows what they've done in the past like this because we've never had to deal with it. So it's opened those lines of communication with how are you doing this and what are you doing to keep kids safe and what's your plan moving forward? And I think we've built a lot of bridges with other conferences and other people across the state. And that's been really healthy as well as the country, whether going to national conferences and listening to people speak or sitting in different groups that are meeting across the country with regard to the pandemic and how different parts of the state or different states are doing stuff. Those have been really, really good that we never would have been able to do those in the past. So that has been a positive. Just that relationship building piece has been a positive. I don't think it outweighs the negative by any means, but I guess that would be something that I would look back on years from now and go, you know what, that was pretty cool what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned to use Zoom. I would have never, it's changed the way I do my job. That's to say the least. I can't remember the last time. I mean, it's probably been a couple weeks since I used my actual camera. So that's just insane for me. And then people have been asking me, how do you like the Tri-Cities? And it's really hard to answer that question because I moved here in May. So everything I feel like I haven't experienced it. Exactly. And so you've been here a while. What is one must do in the Tri-Cities area?
A must do? Wow. There's so much. You got to remember now, I came from Prosser, small town, and mapped it even smaller. Came to the Tri-Cities and thought, wow, this is really big. And you come to the Tri-Cities and say, well, it's still small town in a bigger field. It's still a really close-knit community. I think if you haven't been out on the rivers, I guess that would probably be the one thing that you have to do if you're here. I mean, if you come for a weekend and you're just moving in here, you've got to find a way to get out on the rivers in the summer. That is absolutely unbelievable, and it really ties the whole three cities and everybody together. I think that's just a phenomenal thing, and I would say that's probably it. The waterfalls is amazing. So those are, I think, a couple of things that I would say are must-dos.
And 10 years ago was what we know as the Lynchquake or the Beastquake, when the Seahawks beat the Saints in the wild card game. And tomorrow the Seahawks are playing the Rams for another wild card game. What are your predictions?
Oh, I tell you what, I think the Seahawks and Russell Wilson are in a position right now to do some amazing things. I think the Rams are hurting with some of the COVID issues and some of the things that they have going within their program. So I definitely see the Seahawks with a win tomorrow.
Okay, and then would you say this is green or yellow?
Well, I would not say it's green, because if I say it's green, I'm going to need a call from Mike Edwards in a minute and say, see that, she interviewed you and she's wearing the bomber green. So I can't say it's green. I will go with a mustard color. How's that?
Okay, because Scott yesterday said that this is yellow because I'm cheering for the Rams, and support the hometown kid. But I was originally going to wear a red and black dress today. So I mentioned that earlier, and so I feel like I need to apologize because, like you said, this is bomber colors or.
No.
So my dog, he has a habit of sticking things in his water bowl. So I had my dress in a bag that I was going to bring, and it fell off the couch. So I'm getting ready. I hear the bag rustling, and I run in there, and he was shoving my dress bag into his water bowl. So I brought it here. And this is actually the dress I wore yesterday that I forgot last night. So my black and red dress was not dry from my dog sticking it in his water bowl. Thus, I'm wearing this mustard lime green, not yellow and not green dress.
No, come on now. If you're going to wear the colors of the Braves, you got to go through a little adversity. You should have thrown it on no matter what it was in condition.
In my job, professionalism is very important. So. Well, thank you so much, Casey. It's always great chatting with you. Very insightful, and look forward as things unfold. I know I'll be reaching out to you again.
Absolutely. Let me know if there's anything we can do. And like I said, it's gray for us right now as well. We're trying to get some clarification. So anything we can do to help others is perfectly warranted. So give me a call anytime.
So again, that was Casey Gant, athletic director for Kamiakin High School, and him and all the other athletic directors are working really hard. I think he said that there was 5 different plans they have, so we'll be continuing to monitor that. But until next time, I'm Jamie Council.